Good evening.
Hi.
We are moving to the I was saying it to the end of the road. Mary looked at me askance. And we're more thinking of it as the town meeting is hump day.
Excuse me, read the magic words.
I'm gonna read the magic words. I'm trying to find them, so I'm talking ragtime till I do.
You want me to raise you to it?
No, it's right here. It's fine.
While she does that, can you, Ted and Al, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send out an email to you right now. I sent a handout earlier, but I added a couple more pages, and since you're not here, I will email it to you right now.
Just to let you know, I have the special town meeting warrant and also let's see, there are two things you sent out. One is the collective bargaining agreement, and the other is another two-pager of collective bargaining. I have those.
All right, I've got my place in the script. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and as amended as of March 28, 2025, this meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public and board members, the meeting hearing will not be suspended or terminated if the tech problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless required by law. This meeting will be recorded by the local scene, formerly known as pac-tv. Members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so by viewing Duxbury Access Channel Verizon 39 or Comcast 9. The local scene.media/Duxbury for information about Duxbury programming. Okay. I think I just read this select word, but that's close enough. All right, we are almost there, kids. They're down to the wire. We will be meeting on Saturday, obviously. We are going to host a meeting for the meetings. The town meeting starts at 9. So are we posting our meeting at 8:30? Because we have posted it at 8 if we have a lot to go over, but I don't think we do. So 8:30 in the cafeteria, as we typically do.
Can we split the difference into 8:15?
In case you have something,
We might be late. Bargaining.
we might have collective bargaining. 8:15. Linda, have you got that?
Yes.
Okay, I will bring coffee and snacks. And as usual, I will give the speech. We're asking these folks for almost $100 million. So please dress accordingly.
nowadays that's kind of changed.
No, it has not.
Inflation's affecting.
It has not changed. No, I'm sorry, but it has not. And,
Did you go over to the thrift?
yeah, I think we will dress in professional garb.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You're good enough. Let's go. Mary, should we start with the fun stuff?
Yes, sure. All right, we're gonna start with the special town. We have a few articles we have to get through this evening, about 6 of them. So we're gonna start with the special town meeting warrant and the handout that I had given to all of you folks. And Ted and Al, I did send an email a moment ago called revised handout so that you have the information that we are working with.
Did we send that to Mark and Ash as
I
well?
sent it to FinCom, so everybody got it.
Mhm.
Okay. So with that being said, we had not voted Article 1 and Article 4 of the special. And we did that deliberately because we had a massive snowstorm called Storm Hernando at the end of February that has had a significant impact on the community financially and otherwise.
Right.
So we're going to talk about Article 1 and Article 4 this evening. And ask for your recommendation after I go through some information for you. So the first page of the handout shows Article 1 as it was prepared months ago, back in late January when the warrant was being compiled. At that time, we had no idea that we were going to have this historic event. And the deficit at that time was small enough that $200,000 would have covered that and then provided an additional small buffer. However, $200,000 is no longer going to cut it. So based on the results of the snowstorm, and I will let you know that it was historic, according to the National Weather Service, that we met all of the targets in terms of snowfall, numbers of inches per hour, etc. And so it had a significant impact here in this region across a number of our fellow communities within Plymouth County. And that becomes important, and I'll talk about that FEMA relief in a second. So what you have in front of you on page 2 is a modification to Article 1 so that it is no longer $200,000. It is now $703,969. If you turn to page 3, what I have provided for you is a chart, a historical chart of our snow and ice budget, just so that you can get a sense that this is not an unusual circumstance in the sense that the town has, on quite a regular basis, had to cover deficits in previous years, either through a supplemental appropriation at town meeting or through some type of transfer, whether it was a reserve fund transfer or an end of year municipal relief transfer. We've had numerous occasions where we've had to supplement the snow and ice budget. This one, however, is historic, as you can see from the chart in the upper left-hand corner. And so
I think the comparison will be in 15, when we got 8 feet of snow over the course of 3 weeks. It was about half.
correct. How? Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure and maybe I'm jumping ahead and I'm sure I am. But are all the bills in?
No. All right, so that being said, I'm gonna keep on going. So on the left-hand side of that chart is the budget, and on the right-hand side is actuals. And what you'll notice on the 2026 line is that if you can see it, it's slightly shaded, and there's a note below it that says this set of actuals in the sum of $540,000 only reflects expenses posted as of March 9th. It does not include all of the invoices, as we are still expecting some from outside contractors as well as our salt provider. But it also does not include the additional payroll expenses that we incurred for our labor in the current pay period, because we're bi-weekly. Part of this pay period encompasses some of the storm cleanup. So that being said, that year-to-date actual is not a full year, okay? With that being said, in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a breakdown of the costs that we have incurred for the additional $503,000. Town labor, contracted services, additional salt, equipment repairs for generators and the like that we encountered. Meals, I last night when I was describing this to the select board, used the word catering, but I don't want people to assume that it's fancy catering by any stretch. It is not. We are talking about,
It's a ham and cheese sandwich.
it's sandwiches, pizzas, yeah, packaged cookies or whatever and coffee, whatever the
And hot
case may be.
beverages.
Yes, so it's not, certainly not extravagant. There was a question about the FEMA and National Guard staff that we had deployed here in the town of Duxbury, and whether we incurred a cost for that. And the answer is yes and no. We did not incur a cost in terms of the labor and the equipment that they brought to the town to help us with these efforts, but the only cost that we did incur was that we had to feed them. So that's included in that meals expense. The state bears the cost for the labor and the equipment that was sent here to Duxbury.
So is that NEMA or FEMA?
So MEMA is the state agency and FEMA is the federal, so they came from the state.
Okay. Okay, so it was.
Okay. And so it's covered in the state budget.
The state
But MEMA is
budget.
funded by FEMA,
Correct.
so it's.
We're talking.
It's a trickle down, yeah, that's why I was trying to be careful with my wording. So that being said, I'm gonna talk about FEMA in a second. The reason that this is tied to Article 4 is because Article 4 uses the same funding source of free cash, and it was our intent originally to transfer free cash to stabilization to accomplish two things. Number one, to transfer our annual contribution to the stabilization account, but also to recover those proceeds that were utilized for operating expenses at the last town meeting. We are going to have to forego our original plan because we simply cannot afford to accomplish both. So we are going to decrease the amount of Article 4 from 653,000 down to 150,000. And that free cash is being used in Article 1 to cover the snow and ice deficit. So does that make sense with the math?
With the math works, but does it make sense?
So it's not ideal, for sure.
So.
We don't have to choose.
Are you going, you have more to say on this?
I was gonna talk about the potential for relief, unless you, but if you have specific questions about this, I'm happy to.
I think that we might be able to insert in this conversation at town meeting, the balance in in stabilization and any, interest that accrues on that account.
Mhm.
Because at least that will, not that it is a push, but the account does grow.
So
And
if you look at page.
The article, it says
Page
7,091,976 prior to this.
If you look at this chart here in your handout,
yep,
and gentlemen, you probably can't see, I don't have the pages numbered. But there is a chart that is the third to last page.
Other available?
Those
funds?
are, yep, other available funds. These are our typical funding sources that we use for the operating budget and other activities. And you will see that the stabilization account is about in the middle of the page. And as of our last completed fiscal year, June 30, 2025, that account had a balance of 7.495 million. That is before the transfer out of the 403,000. So I will get you a current balance, but that's the general vicinity where that the stabilization account is.
I just think
Okay.
making the point that it is an interest-bearing account and, you know, we do whatever we can to increase the bottom line passively.
So, yeah,
Excuse me,
okay,
Mary,
yes,
just for clarification, in the article, it was 4 in the special
Mhm.
stabilization fund. It's quoted as of July 1 of 25 of 7,091,000.
because that's after the transfer of the 400 and.
After the transfer of the 403 and the 250?
Mhm.
Okay, so you go back that in and then you back over. Okay, thank you.
JR, did you have a question?
Is there, what happens if we have an April 1st snowstorm?
Then we are, going to have to remedy that in some fashion. And, so let me explain, a couple
We'll
of
wait
things.
till it melts.
Well, and the really ironic part of this recent storm
That's the question.
is that
One
we,
second out.
you know, we had snowmageddon. And then a couple days later, the temperature spiked up to 50, 60 degrees, and we also had rain that effectively removed a large portion of the snow that we had. So it was really, you know, Mother Nature brought her wrath and dumped a bunch of snow, and then she promptly
Offered a little hope.
offered a little hope to take it away.
Al, did you have?
So
Al?
to answer JR's question just a little bit more fully, on this chart here where I have the budget to actuals on the snow and ice, down below where I have indicated to you what comprises that additional 503,000, you will see where I have a line there called additional salt events. So there's a slight buffer.
Okay.
And that is in order to provide the opportunity, we talked with the DPW director to get a sense of if we had temperatures drop and we had some freeze that we needed to address. Typically, what would a salting event cost us? And it depends on the severity and how many times we need to go out to treat, but it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 for a salting event. So in an ideal world, between now and the end of the fiscal year, we would not have an April 1st snowstorm. We may encounter one or two salting events that we would be able to cover within this budget.
Okay.
But to more further answer your question, if we did have an April 1st snowstorm, we would have to remedy it in some fashion. So our first option would be to discuss a reserve fund transfer. And I think I told you guys last week that the reserve fund still has about 139,000 in there. So if between this buffer and the reserve fund, we were able to cover it, then that would be the ideal first remedy. Second remedy would be end of year budgetary transfers when we go through the process of looking for surpluses to cover deficits. That would hopefully be a second remedy. And then the third remedy would be to capture a deficit on next year's tax recap, which would then effectively cause us to have to reduce our FY27 budget in order to cover that deficit. And the fourth option would be a special town meeting, and we look at a funding source like presumably stabilization. So those are probably, I presented those in sort of order of preference and recommendation. There are ways that we would be able to remedy that type of a situation, but we are praying that we do not have that type of a situation.
Al, I'm
Thank you.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to just say Mary does, as always, a stellar explanation, but we're inside the baseball park. And when this gets to town meeting floor, most of the folks that are sitting there, who've been there for years, have no clue how this works. So there's a labyrinth. And what we need to do is to have a simple step-by-step explanation that says, okay, we had an overload in snow removal. Everybody knows that. And here's how it works. Here's the stuff you got to go through. I really don't think anybody gives a hoot how much the stabilization fund earns in interest at all. But I do think what they care about is to get the facts of how you move money to cover that deficit, to cover that extraordinary expense. And I am very, very strongly in favor of saying in simple English to everybody at town meeting, look, this is how it works. Massachusetts sets its rules, it sets its budget, and it has some really old-fashioned ways of explaining it. You got to go from A to B to C to D to K to L to G to back to C to move the funds. And I think that's what we need to be ready to say on town meeting floor. Because if we don't, eyes are going to roll up and they're going to think it's a lot of BS, et cetera. So I'm just hoping that you hear what I'm saying. And again, Mary does an exceptionally good job in getting us through the rules, but this is so in the weeds, we will lose people.
Well,
Agreed.
I don't agree.
I don't.
It cost,
Okay.
it cost 500,000. We had to find the 500,000. The only place we could find it was stable with the transfers that we were making to stabilization.
I'm not raising that as an issue. That's not the issue. The issue
okay.
is, that is not the issue at all. The issue is we have to find some place to find it. Now, our financial director has astutely figured out a way to do that and do it in the most efficient way with the least amount of pain. And I'm simply saying, if we can kind of just make this into a common English and saying, look, we never expected to get whacked with a storm as bad as the 78. We are 500,000 or whatever the number is over budget, and we still don't have all the bills. So here's how we propose to do it, because these are the rules that control how we move the money. That's all I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting a framework to explain it. That's all.
Well, and
That's what you-
you know, like Salad Master, there's more. So let's.
That's
Mary-
cool.
Yep, Mary, could you now go to chapter 2 with perhaps some of the good news?
The FEMA good name?
Yes, and I actually got some additional information today that I did not have last night when I spoke with the select board about this. But so the question is there any kind of relief funding available for this emergency or extraordinary situation? And the answer to that question is possibly. So we know that the governor declared a state of emergency, which opens up the opportunity for potential funding. And the state is pursuing FEMA disaster relief funding. And we had a very short window in which we, as a community, needed to compile all of our expenses and put them together and send them over to MEMA for them to analyze, to see if the town, the Commonwealth as a whole qualified to even apply for federal relief. And the process is that the communities incur the costs and endure the impacts of the emergency. We then have to provide that information to the state, and the state then has to file an application with the federal government. And the federal government, and i.e. the president, has to approve the application in order to release federal dollars down to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to cover.
Ouch.
Exactly, so
That might be
that's
a
why I
hard
say
sell.
possibly or potentially. Now, I will tell you that there are thresholds that needed to be met before the state could even apply to the federal government. And so we had a deadline of last Friday to compile all of our preliminary information, that's called an initial IDA, initial damage assessment. And in doing so, our counties had a dollar value of a threshold that they needed to hit in order for their dollars to be counted towards the state's threshold. And I think I gave you guys a chart last week, right? So,
Yeah.
so you'll be interested to know, this is the information I got today. So the Plymouth County threshold was 2.5 million. And so Plymouth County, the 27 communities collectively needed to have spent at least that in order to be included in this process. And the state needed to spend at least 13.6 million. So there were 240 out of 351 communities impacted. There was $142 million in reported costs before FEMA eligibility adjustments. So we well exceeded that $13.6 million state threshold. And with respect to the Plymouth County threshold, our Plymouth County threshold was 2.5 million, and Plymouth County collectively reported $12.2 million in expenses.
Well, we got whacked.
Exactly. So so it appears clear that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts meets the thresholds for the application to be submitted to the federal government. It is due within 30 days after the event, and
The money
so,
or the?
no, the application,
Application to feds.
and then the process starts, and it can be, as you guys are well aware, it can be a very long process.
Yes.
But we do stand to, if it is approved, potentially recover 75% of eligible costs. In our initial application that we submitted to FEMA, our initial assessment of total cost was 1.1 million. That will be adjusted down because it included the items of property damage that we had incurred. And we have now since found out that some of those items will be covered by insurance. So those will be removed from the schedule. And we will, in the second round of this process, work with FEMA to update the workbook and refine it in order for them to have actual costs that will be submitted to the federal government. So we're working as hard as we can to try to get some relief with respect to this. I will also tell you that I was in on my MMA fiscal policy meeting. So I'm a member of the MMA fiscal policy committee, and we had our meeting yesterday, and we did talk about the storm. And we did ask the question about whether there is potential state funding that could be available or made available to help offset some of these impacts at the local community level. Nothing has been approved yet, but in the past, the state has offered relief in the form of a WRAP program, WRAP, which stands for Winter Recovery Assistance Program. And so in years past, I think back in 2018 and I don't remember exactly all of the years.
We had 118 inches of snow.
The state
That was
had
good.
released some additional funding, sort of through the same process that we use for chapter 90 funding, that we were able to, a lot of it was for pothole relief. If you remember a few years ago, there was some pothole relief money that was made available after some extraordinary storms. So we're working, again, with every state agency we can to see if there is an opportunity to recover some of the costs that we have incurred. And if we do, then those proceeds will then replenish free cash.
It is an election year, so that could help.
So why wouldn't it go into, and maybe this is just the mechanics, is Al.
Mechanics, it has to close out to free cash. We then would vote an article to transfer it into stabilization.
Okay, so.
So it is not lost on us that we still have this issue dangling here, that we want to replenish the stabilization account with the funds that were used. And we will, for next year's town meeting, take a very close look at free cash certification and how we allocate it, and really try to do our level best to make sure that we're able to replenish that.
The thing that has allowed me to sleep at night, because you know how I feel about stabilization and accessing, and I despise not adding back to it. But this is the very definition of stabilization, that an extraordinary, unforeseen, this would be the moment in time to use stabilization under
Absolutely.
anybody's criteria.
If we did not have the free cash being allocated among these two articles, and if we did not have that opportunity, we would be using stabilization as a funding source for this one ice deficit.
So instead of taking it out, we're merely delaying replenishing it.
Exactly,
Did you say that potential reimbursement was 25%?
75
75%?
of eligible costs.
Great, thank you.
But we're gonna have to stand in line for that money. Right, so, and by that, I mean, just from the tornadoes and there's was a swath of weather that came through the United States, right?
Ice.
And there's still some recipients in North Carolina and in other areas of the country that are still waiting on FEMA reimbursement for, the hurricane through the southeast. So it's crossing fingers and toes. You hope that,
Mhm.
Some of the tariff money. We use some of that tariff money.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah.
That solves
I have
that.
to give it back.
You're so good.
So any questions on snow and ice?
Nope.
All right,
Is
so
it simple enough to simply say you're taking it from free cash?
Yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Right.
We have to go through any kind of.
Well, the mechanics behind it.
Coming from free cash.
Sorry.
Don't go someplace else, but don't- We don't have anymore.
But this was already published.
I get it.
So this
Oh, I
is,
get it.
yeah, so they're gonna see, I mean, this is gonna be
That's right.
not a conversation of fait complete, it's something that.
Okay, I'm good.
okay, so that's Article 1 at 703,969 and Article 4 at 150,000.
Okay, so, want to make the motion for one?
Sure.
Sure, let's move it.
So, move to.
I think we have to rescind, yes.
Yeah,
we do.
move to rescind Article 1 supplemental appropriations. Thank you for special town meeting warrant, Article 1 supplemental appropriations, line 1. Department 423 snow and ice in the amount of $200,000 from free cash.
Second.
Second, okay, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
You get seconds.
Okay, great. We have some remote, so we're gonna do a roll call. Teddy,
Aye.
Al,
Al, aye.
Ashley,
Ashley, I.
Chuck, I.
Brenda,
Betsy, I.
Kathleen,
Okay. All right, so 800, we rescind.
okay.
Okay, now let's make a vote.
The special town warrant, Article 1 supplemental appropriations, line 1, Department 423 snow and ice, to cover the deficit in fiscal year 26 snow and ice budget in the amount of 703, am I at the 703 number? $703,969.
Second.
Oh, part for free cash?
Free cash, second.
Okay. First and second, all right, Teddy,
Aye.
Al,
Al, aye.
Ashley,
Ashley, I.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Brenda,
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
All right, so 800 on both of those. Good, all right.
Oh, you did both of them together?
No, just, I didn't.
No, we had to rescind, we had to
Now
rescind
move it
and
to
now,
Article four.
Sorry,
I
gotcha.
gotta come back to Article 4 to rescind it and go again.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Still
Article 4, let's
move to rescind.
Yep. move to
Article
rescind.
4 in the special town warrant, stabilization fund.
In the amount of
In the amount of
$653,
$653,969.
Second.
okay. Were all those in favor of rescinding this article, Teddy,
Aye.
Al,
Al, aye.
Ashley,
I.
Chuck, aye.
Yeah, right.
Brenda,
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Okay, moving on, Article 4.
Move to approve Article 4 stabilization fund to reduce the annual contribution from $250,000 to $150,000 to cover snow and ice deficit.
Second.
Okay,
wait,
Hmm.
are you reducing it from 653?
you're reducing it from 653 to 150.
To 150? That should be the one.
I think that you're looking at the, at her notes there, but
Oh,
the bottom, yeah,
So
so
I'm sorry.
I rescind my second.
So let's do this
Linda
again.
would be reducing it from the 653, 969 to
To 150.
150.
So let me do it again.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
just so that we're all clear. Move to approve Article 4 stabilization fund. Reduce the original amount of $653,969 to $150,000 to cover snow and ice deficit
In this special.
in the special.
Second.
all right, Teddy,
Aye.
Al,
Al, aye.
Ash,
Ashley, I.
Chuck, aye.
Yeah, right.
Brenda,
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Okay, 800. Cool.
Did I make that okay, Linda? Did that make sense? Okay.
yeah, baby.
If I'm.
Yes, please.
So I just wanted to explain, in the booklet, so now we've gotten through Article 1 and Article 4. If you flip to the next page,
Which booklet?
the handout that I gave to you this evening.
Free cash.
So I just wanted to highlight for you a couple of other things that yes, ma'am, that's it. I should have numbered the pages. I apologize. Let me see. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the 6th sheet of paper.
Okay, great.
There is a schedule on the front side and on the back side. The front one shows free cash as we walk into town meeting, what our certified free cash was at the top. And then the uses of free cash at town meeting shown below, broken out between the special town meeting and the annual town meeting. Does everybody see
As
that?
amended. 703, I can see it. You did this chart as amended. You were hopeful that we would agree.
Yes, ma'am. I certainly was. And so just down, I want to call your attention just down on the lower left-hand corner. Where it says 57.5% for capital, 36.8% for articles, and then a slight holdback. So that aligns with our fiscal policies where we have set sort of a threshold for ourselves or a framework to utilize between 40 to 60% of free cash for capital. And then a percentage for replenishing our reserves, which is exactly what we're doing here. So I just wanted to highlight that for you. And then the same on the flip side is water retained earnings so that you can see the certified balance at the top of 2.7 and the uses of that with a running balance in the right-hand column. And so if all articles pass at town meeting, the town will appropriate 2.32 million of water retained earnings, leaving a balance of 384,456.
Does that track to other years?
So it does not per se. We are utilizing a large portion of retained earnings, in order to get us over the finish line for the design and engineering for the first PFAS iron and manganese treatment option. But this is before, so this certification and the use of these proceeds is before the water rates were adjusted. And so we know that we are generating additional revenue that will close out to free cash beginning in 26 and years forward in order to replenish this. Okay,
Okay.
all right, and then
Is that a question?
on the-
So to say it a different way, Mary's giving us a conservative view because we don't have that built into this particular sheet, correct?
Got it up.
yep,
Right.
Thanks.
And the water bills are gonna go up another 30% this year, so
Mhm.
that will continue to fund.
right. And then this chart of other available funds, the June 30, 2025 balance, which we looked at a moment ago. So that you have that. And then we're gonna get into these next two articles next, but before I do that, I wanted to just explain this large sheet of paper that I handed out for you, which is what I call my free cash worksheet, if you will, but it's more, it encompasses more than just free cash, but this is the mechanism that I use to track our funding sources for various articles through town meeting. So you can see across the from left to right, the various funding sources and where we are utilizing proceeds from. And at the top of each column is the current balance right before, as we walk into town meeting. You'll see the balance listed at the top, the use of those funds, and then at the bottom would be the adjusted remaining balance on the backside.
So we don't ever track the school's revolving funds or their other available funds?
Not on this sheet. I don't even track the town's revolving funds on this sheet unless we are utilizing them for that town meeting. This sheet is town meeting dependent. Because as you can imagine, the columns can change from year to year as we're not utilizing funding sources. But you raise a very good point, and I believe I sent it, did I send an email out to the entire finance committee for at some point in April or so?
Yeah, I think so.
To sort of, when the dust settles and we are completed with our work for town meeting, we had talked about, in passing, talked about doing a refresh on our financial policies.
Mhm.
And so what I wanted to do was just get something in our calendars so that we could start that work. And sort of the first step would be looking at our policies and identifying which of our existing policies we think needs a refresh. And then a second step would be what other policies are there that are best practices that we also want to include in ours. So I would envision us having few meetings over the summer to talk about these things and start to do a refresh on them. With that being said, one of the things that we should do on an annual basis is take a look at the balances in all of our funds. So I just handed you a sheet of our trust funds and our stabilization accounts, but it does not include the revolving accounts. And I think it would be good for us to have, post June 30 look at all of those balances and sort of the framework and context in which we utilize those. So,
Including the schools.
correct, all funds.
So when we're discussing that, would we invite the schools to participate?
Sure, well, yeah, so we're gonna develop a policy around it first, right? And then when we start to implement that policy, of course.
Good, because I do think that we should probably have a better eye on that one.
Okay, so that was what that,
Perhaps the second meeting, if you wouldn't mind, it was offered, and I'd like to take the school committee up on it, of having a introductory course to school financing policies that are established by the Commonwealth. Because I think we can all benefit by hearing what the structure is for how they have to prepare their budgets. Because reading that voluminous report that they produce is difficult sometimes to get balances to match from chart to chart.
Mhm.
And we got, I think it would be helpful to me anyways, and not the rest of the committee, to better understand their budget, what's in there.
Yeah, I find it very difficult to connect the dots as
Right.
well. Right, it doesn't leap off the page for me either.
okay,
Yeah, that would probably be a separate meeting.
sure, yeah, I think it would, it's focused strictly on, budget protocols. Sure, okay.
So far,
Excellent, alrighty. So we're gonna move on to the The two collective bargaining, because we did Article 4 last week, right? Yes, okay. So we have two remaining collective bargaining articles. One is in the special, which is Article 7, and one is in the annual, which is Article 8. And the reason Article 7 is in the special is because it is year one of the collective bargaining agreements that we have settled and are ready to fund via town meeting. But because it is in the current year, because all of our contracts have expired, and we are funding not only year one, but also year two of the contract. Year one needs to be funded in the special using free cash, and year two gets funded in the annual using raise and appropriate.
It's
Okay,
just coincidental that these say Article 7 and Article 8, that 7's in the special and 8's in the annual.
that is correct.
Say that again, Fran?
7 is
Well,
in
if you look
the
at her
special.
handout, there's Article 7 and then Article 8, that they do not follow in the special. 7 is in the special and Article 8 is in the annual.
So Article 7 is special town meeting, Article 8 is annual town.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
write it on the top
So with
page.
that being said, we know that we have 6 unions in town and all of the agreements had expired on June 30, 2025. We have been working with the unions over the past, I don't even know how many months to go through the process. We do have some settled contracts, and Jeannie is going to walk us through all of the details of the settled contract so that you guys can vote on 7 and 8.
Good times.
That's the
Steve.
handout?
There are two sheets. It was the
Yeah,
two
there should be
sheets,
two
yeah,
sheets.
Yeah.
Two sheets.
I didn't think I have that.
that look like this.
Great.
Yeah.
I was being so, you were being so hopeful.
And
that I
for those
wasn't wrong.
online, I emailed these out earlier today or yesterday. When did I?
This
email?
morning.
This morning.
Yeah.
There you go.
I think I'm missing one, but that's okay.
Madam,
While we're all sorting our holy cards here, can I ask you a question? If indeed you settle anything this week, these numbers are no good, right?
Well, they,
Well, we're gonna get there.
They're all right, okay, great.
We're gonna get
Oh,
there.
what a guy.
they're mostly good. Okay,
It was on the floor.
so.
Oh, are you eating mince from the floor?
No.
Oh.
It was my second page.
So the order of operations for collective bargaining is the opposite of non-union. So for the non-union, we go to finance committee first, then the select board. The union, we have to go to the select board first and then here. So what you have before you are 3 settled contracts that have been reviewed by the select board and voted and approved in both executive session and open session. So as Mary said, we have 6 collective bargaining contracts altogether. We just entered into bargaining with the police commanders a couple of weeks ago, so they're not going to be ready for town meeting. We have a ratification vote for the Duxbury for a dispatch unit. For the public safety dispatchers, but I don't have the signed settlement agreement yet, so I have to bring that to the select board first. And we don't have a ratification vote or a signed settlement agreement for the Duxbury DPW union. So those 2 are pending. We're really close on the dispatch. We're just talking about the wage scale at this point. But because it hasn't been presented to the select board, I can't present it to you.
That's it.
So you have the numbers, but not the words for that. So,
We do have the numbers for that?
yeah, those are actually in the, motions that Mary
So,
completed.
so the numbers that we're looking at in these Articles 7 and 8 are inclusive
Of the dispatch
of
center,
dispatch?
not DPW.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll take them in order that they settled. So, one of your handouts, well, first I'll start with the handout that's entitled Town of Duxbury Collective Bargaining Summary as of February 21st, 2026.
What is that?
This is the one.
Or it has the
This one.
pink color on it.
Yeah,
One with pink.
yeah.
Okay.
So at the top, you'll see that, each of those unions settled for a 2% COLA. And then as you work your way down the page, you'll see that, the compensation, the classification and compensation study results are presented here. And, as you remember, this is the, town-wide study that we did that included 144 unique job titles. So it included all 6 of our collective bargaining units as well as our non-union and our personal, contracts for the chiefs and the town manager and the town accountant. So you'll see that it's broken out by position, by unit. So for the Duxbury Firefighters Association, the classification and compensation study results indicated that the firefighter EMT position is paid above the 60th percentile at the minimum of the range. And it's paid a little over 2% below the 60th percentile for the top of the range. So what we had authorization from the select board to provide a 2% COLA increase and to implement the classification and compensation study results, which were presented to the select board in advance of us presenting them to the each bargaining unit. And Mary and I worked closely with the rest of her department to cost those out so that we could identify what those costs would be before they were put on the table. And the next position is firefighter paramedic. Similarly, at the bottom of the range, they're fine. They're actually paid above the 60th percentile. At the top of the range, firefighter paramedics are paid almost 3% below the top of the range when you compare them to their competitive set communities.
So I'm just wrapping my head around it. Okay, Jeannie, because I need to catch up to you. So if they're above the median,
If they're above the minimum,
thank you.
yes, top, the bottom and the top.
Okay, I have to, okay. Now I'm,
Now it's making more sense.
now it's making more sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, and for Captain EMT, they were paid well below the minimum and well below the maximum, and the same for Captain Paramedic. So, what we provided, to the unions is for firefighter EMT, we added on top of the 2% COLA, a 2.25%, to the top step 4 to make the top of our pay range more competitive.
Wait a minute.
So if you go all the way over to the right,
It says 10.
it's firefighter, not captain, firefighter EMT.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see the first, it's the first line.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
And then I'm going down to firefighter paramedic. So we provided for firefighter paramedics 3% on top of their step 4. So it's 2% COLA plus 3%.
But it's just the final step.
It's just the final step because that's where they fell short. They were
Okay.
fine at the beginning, in the middle, just until.
Just at the
final
top,
step.
when they got to the max, they had a deficit.
Yes.
Okay.
And how long does it take them to get to step 4?
4 years.
Oh, so it's annual.
Yes, but it's a good question because not every contract works like that.
No, they know.
And we introduced, you'll see, well, is it this? Yeah, you'll see when I get into some more of the details, we did offer a step 5 to one of the units. Where it will take, it basically oh no, that's not yet, that's a different unit. Yeah.
How many employees are in that step 4?
Mary has scattered.
I did not, instead
Don't worry about it. We'll,
For which?
No, but
Which
what
one?
it does, quite honestly, is
Fire.
it
Oh, I
it
didn't.
enables us to retain these folks and not just train them up for 4 years and have
So
them
they
go
go
to
to
another
another
town.
Yeah,
Yes, and to your point, because we have made great strides, I'm just gonna editorialize here. With our fire union and our police union, we are not having a problem attracting and retaining staff. And that's huge because we do put a lot of training and effort and.
Also support you to get these guys
It
up and
does,
running.
and we're able to attract and retain staff, and that it's super valuable to us as a community, and it saves us a lot of money.
that's all the right reason for having an HR director. Thank you very much, Jean Horn. Mary, when you did your scatter shot, right, where was your distribution?
I don't remember because I've done about 8 of them.
Okay,
so
all right, I'll follow up with you
We were
later.
all amazed, I'm like, oh, this is nifty.
Yeah, memory shot.
In that section, I understand
Oh,
some of this is pretty straightforward. 222, which means 222 for 3 years, I get that, but when you get into the class compensation study implementation.
Yeah.
If, for sake of conversation, we simply take the first one, the firefighter EMT,
Yes,
and we're adding 2.25% to step 4.
yes.
That does not necessarily result in any kind of financial impact today, but will over time as they move through their steps.
It will have a financial impact today, and as a matter of fact, the day after town meeting, it will have a financial impact.
So
Because,
there are some people that will be affected immediately.
Yes.
But not all.
yes, only those on
2% is
step
across
4,
the board,
But
right,
it only takes 4
but this
years.
is only
That's
affecting
right.
those people that are,
that's right. And this is a good example of the utilization of funds in very differentiated, specific ways, so that we're spending our money where it needs to be spent based on the data that's available to us.
so when you say there's a 2% increase, it's really more than that.
It compounds. It's right, it's
That is correct. And so for the folks in this particular row that you're looking at, firefighter, EMT, anybody who is currently at a step 4.
Right.
There will be a compound impact. They will receive the COLA and the
So they get the 2 plus 2.5, 2.25.
correct.
and more to your point, they receive a brand new wage scale that reflects the value of the steps as it's described on this chart.
Over time. That's the part
Yeah,
I.
so it's a fiscal year 26, 27, 28 wage scale. And it's broken out into the different grades and steps in accordance with the contract that was just settled.
which is why we're in.
So,
And all of
Yeah,
that represents the
Yes.
amount that's in the
so
article.
if someone is
for
in,
firefighter.
like you take these people that are getting the 10% in each step,
Mhm.
say someone's on the 4th step already. Nothing's retroactive.
So it's retroactive for individual, and for this particular bargaining unit, it's retroactive for firefighters and fire captains who are currently employed by the town of Duxbury because the contract expired on 6/30 of 25.
So it's only
It's
retroactive
retroactive
for
to July
So
1st.
Only
what's in the
one
special.
step retroactive.
One year,
1 year, okay,
yeah, and it could be one step, or if you're already at step 4, you're maxed out.
yeah, okay.
But so that's what you were voting in, that's what you just voted to the special town meeting. Motion, that is the value of the retroactive payments for fiscal year 26 to the settled collective bargaining contracts.
We haven't voted yet.
We haven't voted.
Oh, okay, that's what you were discussing.
We're
Yeah,
going to.
You're still
Yeah.
dancing.
I'm still dancing,
You're
okay.
still dancing.
So I think you kind of, so that's the kind of the rhythm of what was recommended and what was accepted by the unions. So you'll see that, so firefighter EMT and firefighter paramedic are similarly situated. And so are captain EMT and captain paramedic. So with captain EMT, we added 10% to each step. And for captain paramedic, we added 10% to each step as well.
How many steps are in those designations?
I believe for captain, there's 4.
Do you want to explain why? Captains, there's 6.
Number of
Oh,
steps.
number of steps, okay. Do you want to explain why? Because that's a fairly,
Large number.
large number.
Sure. So, in terms of like the previous classification and organization study,
Yes.
so you might recall, I may have said this to this group before. When we completed our previous classification and compensation study, we conducted it, in, 2020 and 2021, and we implemented in like 22. And, so we complete the classification and compensation study. We implement for non-union people right away, but we have to collectively bargain the results with each labor union. So we do that at the end of the next contract, and it's just so happens that it's lined up both times for the end of the collective bargaining contract. So the union groups are usually like a year behind the non-union groups. And when we presented the results to the fire unit the last time, the fire captains recommended that instead of them taking a increase at the minimum of the wage scale, you can, and it's reflected here, they wanted to give it to the earlier career positions. So they wanted to allocate that funding to the firefighter EMTs and firefighter paramedics because they believe in the organization and they believe in succession planning. And they wanted to make sure that we were continuing to attract and retain early career talent.
When there was room to grow.
And it's reflective in these results. That's why the firefighter, EMT, and paramedics are in good shape at the beginning of the range. But that's also why the captain EMTs needed a bigger, and paramedics needed a bigger adjustment this time around. So
So they,
with,
so now you're achieving the parity, is that what we're trying?
yes,
to
but
get?
with hindsight being 2020, we held to our we learned from that as well, and we said, okay, we made the corrections the last time. This time we want to stay as close to implementing the study as possible because it's easier to defend, and that's a big adjustment.
And when you don't,
It's more expensive.
exactly,
Yeah,
if
you just kick the
don't
can down the road.
continue to stay
Right.
in step.
This only brings you in line, it doesn't, you know, if they were down -10 and you're giving them 10%.
But you're right, but we do have a little bit of advantage because instead of aiming, our goal was not the 50th percentile, our goal was the 60th percentile, so that we could still be a little bit ahead of it. It is definitely a balance because it's expensive.
It's a retention strategy.
It's a retention strategy, but some of the contracts that are being settled in area communities are mind blowing, and I'm not sure how they're going to sustain it. So time will tell.
Let me ask you a question. When the captains come in, is it the beginning or step one, for lack of a better terminology? Is that step one of when they became captain, or does it include their amount of time in the department?
It's time and position.
Time and position. Thank you.
Yeah, for the steps. So that's fire. For the Duxbury Free Library, they were the first to settle. The librarians didn't need an adjustment during the last classification and compensation study, and they didn't need one this time either. And the last time we implemented the study, or the previous time when we implemented the study, we were conservative in our approach. They were the first unit to settle at that time too. So the library associates only got half of their adjustment in the last contract. So we had a little bit more to go in this classification and compensation study implementation. So the librarians, for example, received a 2, 2, and a 2 for fiscal year 26, 27, and 28, and no classification and compensation studies were needed. The library associates, we added 6% to step one. So we basically gave them a new wage scale and applied a 3% and evened out the steps. We actually did that for both the librarians and the library associates because it makes it easier for budgeting purposes. It's the same top and bottom, but we just even out the steps in between.
Okay.
So library was very straightforward, and the police union settled after fire more recently. And you can see that both on the bottom and the top of the wage scale for police officer, they were paid below the 60th percentile goal. So for police officers, we added 1.5% to steps 1 through 5. And for step 6, we added 4.25%. And for police sergeants, we added 3.75% to step 1. I think that should say 1, 2, and 3. Oh no, are there only 2 steps for sergeant? Oh, you know what? It's right there. You have it.
It says top step.
Yeah.
They're all.
So whatever.
Every one of them is different.
Yeah, it just says, I think there's only 2. Because it says step 1 and top step.
All right, so it doesn't indicate that there were any intermediate steps that were impacted by this agreement.
So-
We can leave it at that.
We can leave it at that.
Okay, and there's the incoming contracts.
There is,
on
so
these three?
the
I mean,
union,
three.
the union has signed them and, they are awaiting select board signature, but the select board has already voted to approve them.
Okay.
And town meeting is the final ratification vote and funding.
Are
So,
you gonna get up and explain these at town meeting?
I would not go into
I
this
would
depth.
not go into.
yeah,
I'm
I was just going-
I'm asking an innocent question here, don't, you know,
I mean, this is unusual because it's a classification and compensation study. Here, usually people want to hear what the town got and what the union got.
that's what I'm
So
meaning.
that's the next.
I didn't mean that you were gonna go through what you just went through with us. I meant the changes to the contract.
Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna review with this group next. That's the second page that I handed out.
Yep.
So, I won't go through the wages. We've already been through that in detail. So starting with the library, there are 17 items. Which detail you want me to go into?
High notes.
So some of it is housekeeping. So item number one, removing library systems is housekeeping because we haven't had that position in the contract for 20 years. So the town, and so the items in bold are the town's proposals and the items in italics are the union's proposals. So the town wanted the ability to hire new employees at step 3 and the union agreed to that. We again, housekeeping hours of work clarification. And the next item number 4 is also housekeeping. That's about staff meetings. And then item number 5 is clarifying the tuition assistance policy language. And the important thing to note with that is we reduce the length of time someone has to be at the library in order to participate. And we increase the number of dollars, but the dollars are funded through a grant that's available to library employees. And if the grant isn't available, tuition assistance isn't available. So it's
Okay.
low exposure for the town.
Where does the grant come from?
The grant comes from, I don't recall,
Is it a private grant or is it a public grant?
public.
Okay, that's all I care about.
And we memorialized their holiday practice with item number 6, item number 7. We simplified the vacation language so that it's easier for people to understand what they're accruing in their first year of employment or on their anniversary month, it looks like, more specifically. And we updated the bereavement language, and we did this in several other contracts too, to include the same number of days, so it's 5 days for the death of an individual living with the employee in their primary home. So it's treating them it's giving the employee the same benefit that they would receive for an immediate family member. And we agreed to prorate personal days in the first year of employment. And the next bolded items are some of our universal proposals. So transition to electronic timekeeping and attendance system when we eventually get there.
Where are you, Jane?
Number 11. On the next page.
Thank you.
And mandatory cybersecurity training, mandatory multi-factor authentication, implementation training and related software. And then the library union wanted to limit access to their library system for individuals who are full-time employed. And there is a $500 retirement bonus that we're making available to library employees if they provide written notice for succession planning purposes. And I believe that 16 should include the word performance evaluation. And 17, we changed all the pronouns to employee throughout the contract. And then what follows that is our universal proposals that we put on the table with every bargaining unit. And then in terms of the Duxbury firefighters, we increased annual stipends. So their coordinators, the stipend went from $300 per year to $1,000 a year. Mechanic went from $3,000 to $5,000. The emergency medical system manager went from $5,000 to $7,000, and there's a new stipend for administrative captain of $2,000 annually because there's a significant difference in pay when you compare the administrative captain who works days to the shift captains who work a 24-hour shift. So it was meant to provide more equity within that pay structure. Number two is we memorialized and updated the EMD, Emergency Medical Director, and Emergency Medical Service Manager memorandum of agreement to reflect the hours that they are expected to work and the time frame and the fact that they can be contacted for the additional 2 hours per week when they're off hours for no additional pay. And we increased the family sick time available to firefighters. We increased it from 24 hours to 48 hours because it's a 24/7 operation. So if they work a 24-hour shift, and you really have to look at the value of that. So it basically puts them on the same footing as every other collective bargaining agreement. That was a disparity that had gone unnoticed. And we updated the longevity pay to provide pay at 15 years of service. And this goes to an earlier question that was asked, because what was happening was the longevity pay was only being provided to firefighters for years in job. It was not years of service to the department, and people were being harmed when they got promoted from one job to another. It wouldn't stop them from, considering a promotion, but it wasn't a really equitable practice. And the next one is employees can work. Basically, this is a benefit for both the union and the town. So what we're finding is with earlier career staff in the town of Duxbury, they're valuing time off even more than pay. So compensatory time can be paid either in dollars or in time. So when it's paid in time, it can be more expensive because there's oftentimes overtime attached to filling those spots. So this expanded the use of compensatory time, but it also limits it. So right now we were in a position where there was no limit on the amount of comp time that could be taken because it wasn't a problem, but people were starting to use it more often. So we kind of split. It was almost like both parties benefited from that. And again, these are our universal proposals, numbers 6 and 7, mandatory cybersecurity training and multi-factor authentication. And number 8 is it's a mass general law that annual query checks are required for reimbursement of Mass Health. But you still have to impact bargain that result even when it's a law. And you can ignore number 9 because that's a misnumbering. Number 10 is the town will comply with OEMS requirements to provide documentation. And again, this is a requirement by OEMS, but it's something that we had to impact bargain. So we just put it into the settlement agreement as well. So it'll go into the collective bargaining contract. But basically, the state entity is requiring that members disclose their vaccination status as it relates to COVID-19 and influenza. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to get it, but they have to disclose what their status is. And then the last one is the Duxbury Police Union. Number 1, the town agrees not to implement body and or vehicle cameras through the end of this contract unless required by law.
What is their objection?
You know what? There isn't an objection, really. It's financial. So I think, I'm sure it varies by officer, but I think the union understands that body cameras protect them as much as it protects the town and other individuals. But there is a lot of expense related to implementing that kind of a system and all of the administration that goes along with that. So it could require additional staff or additional staff time, storing.
But didn't we budget?
Yeah, we
We
did.
just included
At the
that
town
in
request.
capital. No, we didn't?
Yeah,
Wait, there's 3 questions going on.
Yeah, they all.
You go first.
capital included
So-
the cams.
Capital did not include the cameras. There was an item in the police department's operating budget
Okay.
where they requested a lease because it's
Yes, sorry.
ongoing
Yeah, right.
for both tasers and body cams.
Mhm.
But we are not proceeding with the body cams.
So this was, the bold stuff is the town.
Yes.
This was the town.
So-
position,
And in
not
addition to
the-
that,
So this is the town's position, not the
Not the
union.
union.
Correct.
No, this is a mutual agree, that what you're reading on this page right
Yeah.
now?
I mean, it was basically, it was a town proposal. But it was a town proposal because there is also a compensation cost that's associated with that.
So several years ago when this,
Mutual agreement.
yes, exactly, when these, body cams first sort of came into play with respect to police departments across the country. There were lots of communities, years ago, providing financial compensation to police officers.
To this day, it still happens.
Yep, that was very generous in order for them to have a change in working conditions and wearing body cams. And we believe that at some point, they're going to become mandated anyway by post. And we were not in a position to be able to provide financial compensation in order for our police officers to
Would
wear body
we,
cams.
would we be,
No.
this is all, you know, the horse has left the barn, right? These are settled
Yes.
agreements, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna do too far deeper into something that's already been agreed to and settled upon, but it's interesting.
Please come up with money.
So did it impact the lease in the operating?
You feel better than.
We're not pursuing
You're not
that.
pursuing it, you're not gonna buy
What
it.
about
So they had to get revised pricing on the taser because the pricing was competitive because of the bundle.
did it impact their request, we had approved for both, so I'm assuming that the cost on that line item would be less.
Correct.
So did we change the police request for operating?
We have not. So the impact was $20,000. It was 23,099, I think,
Okay,
was the cost for the body cam lease for
uh-huh,
the services. That's still there, but will not be utilized because we did not agree to this in the collective bargaining agreement. We were trying to get both.
no, I'm getting that, but so since it's not gonna happen, we didn't revise the budget request?
For 23,000?
Mhm.
No, we did not.
You'll just end up in free cash because we're
That is-
buying it.
Correct.
Just go back into the till.
Okay,
Again, number two is a universal proposal. We changed. Patrolman, with police officer, and we changed, all of the other references to employee throughout the contract. Number three is a transition to electronic timekeeping and attendance system. And the system that the police department is using right now, may have this functionality, and they're pleased with, how it's working so far. So we will consider that software first. So even if the rest of the town goes with something else, if it works for that department and it can integrate with whatever we ultimately choose, we'll, consider that one first. And
Along with the chief technology officer.
yes, yeah,
Mhm.
so he's been very much involved in all of the related conversations around HRIS and payroll systems that we've had throughout the year. The police union agreed to participate in the Massachusetts Registry of Motor Vehicle Driver Verification System program. And this is something that the fire department is already doing, but it's an automatic notification of any violations that is sent to the employer on an automated basis. They agreed to mandatory cybersecurity training, mandatory multi-factor authentication. They agreed to the performance evaluation updates that we provided, and the union asked the town to agree to a change in their work clothing and cleaning allowance. It doesn't provide additional pay it just provides a different system for, the distribution and ordering of uniform and clothing items throughout the department, instead of having a straight quartermaster system. It uses, a different system that's going to work better for the department. Because the costs of clothing and uniforms, I guess, has escalated very quickly and the quality isn't great, so. They're trying to do kind of like a just-in-time ordering system so that they don't have things sitting on shelf that nobody can use. And that's it.
There you go. Oh,
So in the,
dispatch.
in the article with the money for this, you're including the dispatchers, but you haven't finalized it. You want us to approve it with that in? So when it's finalized, it can be funded? Or do you want us to take that out and vote it without it?
Have to vote it out.
And do we have a breakdown of what each of these contracts cost us? So, okay, on that.
So I'm contemplating, you guys are very structured in the way that you vote.
My reason
My-
for,
my-
my thinking is to vote.
My feeling is if
it's
you-
not settled,
Here it is.
you can't pay it, but
Back here.
if it's settled and they sign the contract, aren't we forced to have a special within so many days to fund that contract and we
Yeah.
can avoid that expense?
My recommendation would be to fund it, and the way I approach sort of votes and recommendations is that's the upper limit. And if we are not able to bring this contract across the finish line, then we would
Reduce this.
we would be spending a lesser amount. We would not be asking for more. It would be a lesser amount.
And we could reduce it on the day of town meeting when we meet a half hour, 45 minutes ahead of time.
Mhm.
So we can reduce that if we need to.
So I think we should, my
I would,
Yes,
yes. I would.
desire was to
Yeah.
put it in because I think it'll make it practical.
Okay.
So I
Motion.
move to approve Article 7 in the STM. Fund collective bargaining agreements in the sum of $630,000.
Second.
Second. Okay, Teddy?
Aye.
Hey, Al? We're muted, Al. While Al's doing that, Ashley?
Ashley, I.
Al, are you there?
Not yet.
Chuck, I.
JRI.
Brenda,
That's he, I.
Kathleen, I.
hate to. Al?
Abstain.
You
maybe he
might
has
have
to
had
take a
to-
call.
You might have had to step away. Okay,
It's working. Is that work?
Yeah, I think.
Doing
yeah.
taxes.
Okay,
okay,
so that was 7-0.
Yes.
yes. 701. So we'll have him as an abstention. Although he didn't say to abstain.
No, he didn't
so I
say,
don't
it's
know
just
what to do.
700.
Yeah, that was it.
You did.
Just, all right,
So
so
that's true. That's
6:30. And we'll just do 700.
You want to do Article 8, the annual then?
yes, please.
That's clear.
I move to approve Article 8 in the annual town meeting. Fund collective bargaining agreements, the amount of $550,000.
Second.
Okay. Teddy,
Aye.
Ashley,
I.
Chuck,
Al?
I.
JRI.
okay,
Brenda,
that's the I.
Kathleen, I.
Again, 700.
Okay, now we have, Rainey has joined us, and we have a couple of other articles from the annual that we need to either finish or reconsider. And the ones that I have listed are Article 18, battery storage. Article 21, citizens petition for speed limit change. And then you guys had asked about Article 22, which is the power plant moratorium.
Right.
So, Randy, if you want to jump in, I
Yep.
think that.
No problem. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Everybody,
So I'm sorry. Don't we haven't-
You want me to go ahead and go?
oh, we did.
So Article 18 was reviewed by the planning board last night and they voted to indefinitely postpone it. So I would ask that the finance committee may want to consider the same. There's a possibility that they may make a motion on the floor to change it, but at this point, the vote as it stands is to indefinitely postpone.
Battery storage.
Okay,
Your original vote was
So
251.
We voted it down, right?
You
So,
I say we reopen it and.
Yeah,
Vote
sure, okay,
move to amend Article 18, battery storage.
Reconsider.
do we have to
Reconsider.
reconsider, rescind?
What am I
Rescind.
doing?
Yeah,
Cindy?
whatever is convenient, reconsider, whatever.
Move to consider Article 18, battery storage.
Second.
Okay,
Vote.
move to indefinitely.
No, you gotta
vote.
vote, you
No,
gotta vote on
Okay,
the.
rescind.
all right, Ashley,
Ashley, I.
Teddy,
Aye.
Al? Okay, Chuck,
Chuck, I.
JRI.
Brenda,
Betsy, I,
Kathleen, I.
okay,
700.
700, so then
we'll
we'll
move to indefinitely postpone Article 18, battery storage.
Second.
okay, Teddy,
Aye.
Ashley,
I.
Al? Chuck,
Chuck, I.
JRI.
Brenda,
Betsy, I, Kathleen, I. Jeannie,
Aye.
thank you so much.
Okay.
See you Saturday. Okay, all right, so we're gonna IP that guy. Nice,
And the same is true for Article 21. Mr. Wheatley came into the board last night and the board discussed his request to lower the speed limit. The board, I met with Paul Brogna, the chair of the Highway Safety Committee, the police chief, and the DPW director, and we came up with an amenable solution to recommend to the board that they reduce a portion of the road instead of the entire road. And the board was in agreement with that idea. And as a result, Mr. Wheatley said that he would be moving to indefinitely postpone his article from the floor at town meeting. So I would recommend that the Finance Committee vote to do the same, just as the Select Board did last night.
Did we vote on that?
no,
You could.
oh yeah, 080, we voted it down,
080.
so we have to rescind it.
Move to rescind Article 21, speed limit change.
I mean,
Second, Ashley?
Ted has a question.
Oh, Teddy, I'm sorry, what's the question, hon?
No, I don't have a question. I was voting aye.
Oh, okay, Teddy, I,
He's
Ashley,
anticipating.
Ashley, I.
Al? No.
Chuck,
okay.
I.
JRI.
Brenda,
Betsy, I,
Kathleen, I.
all right, so 700 to IP.
No, that was to
that's to
rescind.
open it. Now we have to vote.
Sorry, okay, sorry.
Move to IP.
Move to IP Article 21, speed limit change.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, Ted,
Aye.
Ashley, I.
Ashley? Al?
Ally.
Chuck,
Okay.
I.
Back.
JRI.
Brenda,
Betsy, I.
Kathleen, I.
Al, we had a couple that we voted while behind your back here. We just, I don't think
that's necessary.
Yeah, we're done.
we're done. It's
If
okay.
you're all
I
unanimous
think
all the way
it's, I
across,
think
we
it's
can-
okay.
We can talk to you later about it if you want.
It was basically, it was pretty boilerplate. Okay. Now,
And then-
on to,
Finally, Article 22, which was the proposed moratorium on the construction of new nuclear power plants in Plymouth. Mary Lambert went to the board, explained it. The select board, that is, they voted 5-0 in favor. I think the Finance Committee may have had a slightly misunderstanding of what it was they were intending to do. I think Betsy, you and Friend may have been there. The Finance Committee previously voted against this one.
That's not true. I voted for it.
Yeah, no, they voted, but the vote went down.
no, Kathleen
one-
wants to
1 to
prove
7.
there it wasn't a unanimous vote
Yes,
before.
I wanted to-
It's on the record.
Clear.
Tony,
And I
yeah.
wasn't here.
The vote was 1 to 7. Yes.
I wasn't
Yes,
there.
Yeah.
1 in favor, 7 against.
yes,
Thank you.
she's committed to that.
So let's open that sucker up and get it done.
Yep. Do we,
Well,
okay,
do we want to reopen it? Do we want to reconsider?
yes, do we want to reconsider
Yes.
that? Well,
Yeah.
you do, yes, that, good job, you.
I'm
And
happy,
I
I'm happy the way it stands.
okay,
I can go either way.
Can I ask why people, what? why would people not be in favor of that? I mean, I wasn't here for that meeting, so
I didn't
that's why I was curious as why there was even a question. To me, it was like,
I think the gist, from what I heard, was, I was not here either, but I think the gist was, why close the door on the potential for alternate energy sources if in fact nuclear power becomes sometime a little bit more safe?
but that wasn't that's not what this is saying. That what this article is saying, that if it's allowed, there'd be certain parameters put on it.
Right.
And I live in
But are
town,
the parameters achievable?
yeah, I don't see
The
why.
parameters are already in place.
I don't think they're achievable. That's
They're
my
already in
problem
place,
with it.
Jack.
They're already in place in the previous contract and were not
They weren't done.
adhered to.
Right.
I think too, the other piece of it that was concerning is that town clerk shall blah, 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 blah. So that the intent of the citizens of Duxbury is widely known. And that's fine. We can say that we don't want it, but we don't get to vote on it because it's other towns that it would, that were part of it. And I'm
It's what Duxbury wants. I mean, we're representing Duxbury.
if it's a sense of the,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask Rainey.
yes,
Rainey,
Yeah,
is this a sense of the meeting? It is non-binding in any way?
let me take a look at it. Hold on.
It's taking a position in town,
Right. It's what it is. It's a political statement,
right?
Which is what we've always done in the past
which is what it's been historic.
for 30 years.
Just a minute. I gotta grab the article. Forgive me.
I think it's kind of coming back to me that Mark's argument was that this was the license, we didn't get, Duxbury doesn't get to vote on whether it's allowed or not allowed. It's other cities or towns, so.
But we get to have a position that.
Yes, and
that
if this is a
they-
sense
if
of
they
the
put it
meeting,
in,
then that's different.
So I lived in Plymouth when this was going on first
Yep.
time. You want as many parameters put on that as you can.
Yes,
So, just so that we're on record is that we didn't want this unless you did these certain, this criteria.
What
It makes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
ahead.
What the article requests is that the town clerk forward this article to the governor, the attorney general, the state and federal delegation. Let's see, the boards in Plymouth, Marshfield, Kingston, and Carver, the NRC, Holtec International, and the Holtec Decommissioning International, so that the intent of the citizens of Duxbury is widely known. That's
okay,
what
so
they-
it's sense of the meeting.
Yes, it is.
Okay, fine.
see, there's no financial part segment to this, and that's one of the,
Yeah, it's fine.
Anybody on the screen have an opinion? Ashley, Al, and Ted, you were all there for that meeting. What are your thoughts about reopening?
Negative.
Yeah, I just as well leave it alone.
All right, so let's do this. We're gonna ask for a vote to
Reconsider?
reconsider, and if that fails, we're done. Okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Move to, reconsider, it's time to go home.
Yeah.
Article 22, what is the article, what is the article?
Nuclear moratorium.
22.
moratorium,
Moratorium on,
construction.
proposed moratorium on construction of new nuclear power plants in Plymouth in the, ATM.
Second.
Second? All right, all those in favor, Ash,
No,
Teddy,
No.
Al?
No,
Interesting,
Yes,
okay,
JR?
No.
Bren, no.
no,
Yes.
okay,
no,
our vote stands,
Not being reconsidered, the vote stands.
okay?
I quit.
No, if you lose the vote, you buy the drinks, that's the deal, I mean, you get that,
Can't quit till after town meeting.
yeah.
Anything else for us to discuss tonight?
That was all I had. Thank you.
So we're gonna be 8:15, for those that weren't here when we started this, on, Saturday. Dress code as, typically prescribed by, Mrs. Sullivan and friend. Professional garb. We're asking these folks for $100 million. We can look the part.
I would request,
No, you cannot, you can't look like a bum, no.
no, I know that,
We-
but I think since we need Trump to back us up on our refunds for the snow, I think we should all wear red ties. So,
Or baseball caps with USA on them.
well,
Or figure we're never gonna get it.
we're
which I
never
think
gonna
is-
get it.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna
we're
get
never gonna
anywhere with that. Sorry.
Yeah. Unless it's on,
I ain't
unless
going
it's,
there.
you know, under the DraftKings sign off or something.
I do not think we should.
All right, thank you. We have done a great amount of work. Brady, thank
Betsy,
you,
did
Mary.
someone tell Mark about the time? Because he might be the only person that, he's the only other newbie like me, so.
Okay, Linda, can we send an email out to everybody with, on.
Oh, there's,
on
that's,
the-
you have to send out
we're
a
gonna-
meeting agenda anyhow, correct?
Uh-huh.
Thank you all
Yeah.
very much. Thank you
that
all.
we're
very much.
gonna post it for 8:15.
Good night, good night, good
All
night.
right, thanks,
Motion
guys.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, great, thank you.